educational seminar of the week here. Okay, good morning, everyone. We are in Tzidkas Hatzadik, Os Samach Hey. I really am struggling a bit, so if you're listening, so please come forward, and if you're not listening, please be quiet. I guess not too many people are listening. There you are, my friend. The Shiur last week just did not record on the live stream, but I re-recorded it, and it did work. But it wasn't exactly what you heard.
You didn't get all of the insightful comments from the crowd.
Oh, no, the comments and the jokes I skipped, and all kinds of things. I even skipped the part about Yoshka. But what we did learn. I just can't tell you. What we did learn last week was really one thing, and then along the way, which might be even a bigger thing. The one thing was, the subject was, B'derech she'adam roitza leilech molichin oso. And let me remind you the fantastic yesod of Reb Tzadok HaKohen, and that is that just because something seems like it's going so well and you're getting so lucky with this and it's really moving, it does not mean you're doing the right thing. So a lot of times we take these signs from heaven that we're doing the right thing, and you're not necessarily doing the right thing. Just because it's going good, it doesn't mean you're doing the right thing. And we see this, it really should not need any proof at all. Because we see that the simple case, which he doesn't bring, of a navi, a prophet that comes along and performs some type of a miracle to show his wares and to show what he's able to do, we examine his words. We are such a cerebral people that we examine his words and we say, well, is this compatible with the Adon HaNavi Moshe Rabbeinu, or is it not compatible with Moshe Rabbeinu? And yes, you'd have to do a miracle to set yourself aside. That's a question. Why does he have to do a miracle? It just gives him maybe more credibility with the people. But that's not the essence of a Navi. So what we see is that just because you can do miracles, it doesn't mean you're right. You can go to all kinds of people do miracles. I'm going to tell you, I'm remembering this moment, Rav Frisch, the one who wrote the Pirush on the Zohar. So I might have mentioned this before, but he was suffering, towards the end of his life, he was suffering with terrible pain and rheumatism. And he was told by a fellow tzaddik, he was a tzaddik, I got to meet him, and he was like a real tzaddik, a kubal, but a tzaddik, he just... very simple person and acted very simply, I should say. Anyway, so somebody told him that there is somebody in India that can, a doctor in India that can heal this rheumatism that he has. And he says, really? He says, well, you got to go to India. So he said, I'll go to India. I mean, I just need to get out of this pain and be able to continue my work. And he went to India with another person. Another person went to India with him. And he had him, lay on the bed, introduced, very nice doctor, guy, whatever. He was a Hindu, I believe, the doctor. And he puts him on the bed, and he's interviewing, question, clipboard, everything. And he said, okay, give me a few minutes. And he sat down on the floor with his legs crossed. and Rav Frisch said, like, what are you doing? So he says, I'm bringing an energy which will be a healing energy for you. And after going to India, he jumped out of the room there. Apparently, when I heard the story the second time, he left money for the guy, and he ran back home. He would not do this. So this is not a question of whether it would heal or it wouldn't heal, because some people, it apparently did work. It's not that it didn't work. It's not like this was, oh, okay, you're just a quack. That wasn't the point. It was a type of thing which he felt was usher. He was probably right, Bakol Bisrapin Klutz Me'atzei Asherah. And he was in pain, but nevertheless, just because you could do it, it doesn't make it right. That's the lesson. So what is it then? If it doesn't make it right, why is Hashem helping you? And the answer is, and here's where the Rav Tzadok comes in, because there is a different principle which tells us that if a person really wants to go in a certain way, like Bilam really wanted to go in a certain way, whether he will accomplish his goal or not, I added, meaning will he actually be able to curse the Jewish people? The answer is no, that's up to Hashem. But the derech she'adam reitzeh leilach melech naisa. You wanted to get the covet, you wanted to get the money, you wanted to get international recognition and win the Nobel Jew-hating prize. So Hashem says, I will help you along with that, not because I agree with you, obviously, I said to you not to go, but because b'derech she'adam reitzeh leilach melech naisa. By the by, I learned with you very exciting Reb Nachman, which I think is really addressing this point, and that is that everything, when a person's machshava accomplishes just as much, maybe much more, than whatever you can say or whatever you can do. What a person can accomplish with their thoughts without anybody knowing about it. And the words of the Zohar, which he doesn't bring, that kol mila da'alma b'machshava talyin, b'ru'usa talyin. Everything is totally in your rutzah. Rutzah is the ultimate in machshava, like I really want something. Machshava is like you think about a math problem. But rutzah means a focused thought as to a determination as to this is what I want to do. It will work. Why? Because this is our part in the Bria Olam. You hear me on this? This is our koach that we have, the chitas, if you will, that we have in the Bria Olam to actually be able to accomplish, just like we accomplish something, we can build a house, and create technology, etc., and make wars. We can also accomplish things with our machshava, which makes us very, very powerful in the world. And I explained that that's why b'derech she'adam reitzeh leilach melichan, I say, because through your ratzon, leilach, through a person's ratzon, you can create a reality that will work. And it can be completely against Hashem's will, as is the case with Bilam. It can be completely against Hashem's will. Hence the Sonei Yisrael, we're matzliach in many ways. Not only matzliach, but, it's not for now, but, I study these things. Sometimes supernaturally matzliach, from Paro to Hitler. Sometimes miraculously matzliach. Like, what the heck? And the answer is, this is the way Hashem created the world, b'derech she'adam reitzeh leilach.
Based on the goal.
What?
Also with Bilam, that that's Adam reitzeh leilach. Hashem let him go on the way, but he didn't let him achieve the goal.
I just said that. Right. When it comes to the goal, certain goals, you can't accomplish them. So ultimately, you have to say everything is with a Shemayim. Otherwise, we can get involved in the whole question of Yediyah and Bechira, which is really what we're talking about, isn't it? But I don't want to. I don't have the IQ to understand how to be miyashiv the stira Yediyah and Bechira. Neither did the Rambam. So to have a good company is not kedekach that the Rav said to him. Well, if you don't understand it, why are you even talking about it? So the Rav said to the Rambam, but he said, nobody understands. How could it be that Hashem is in charge and yet I have a choice to do what I want to do? It's really the same question. So Reb Tzadok brought, I don't remember if we went through them in detail or not, but I just want to say one of them, because it's Nogeya right now, or two really. One of them is Korach, story of Korach. Here's Moshe Rabbeinu performed this fantastic miracle. Let's say he officiated at this fantastic, miraculous event of opening up the earth. I mean, if that doesn't prove somebody right, what does? And the people, the honorable Jewish people at the time, came back to Moshe Rabbeinu after the miracle, and that was a real, like a headliner, right? I mean, like that was, after the miracle, they said, "Lama hamita b'Hashem." What did you kill everybody for? What do you mean? What did I kill everybody for? So Reb Tzadok explains that from them, like, so you did a miracle, big deal. We know that you could do miracles. Nobody questioned whether Moshe Rabbeinu could do miracles. He was just on Har Sinai for 40 days and 40 nights. So that Moshe Rabbeinu could do miracles. That's not the point. The question is, are you right or are you wrong? Lama hamita as Kal Hashem. They did not, in that sense, let him get away with proving his concept of leadership through a miracle. That was one thing that one proof that Reb Tzadok brings, which is very novel and beautiful. Another thing that he says is, here's another case, go out of the Gemara, and both of these two things I want to refer to today. The other one is the case, one of the most famous stories of the Gemara, of the Tanur Shel Achanoi. It was a question of Tumah and Tara, which I explained last week, what the question of Tumah and Tara was, and it was a case of Yachid v'Rabim, and the Rabbim, the Rabbim said that the tanur, that this particular utensil can become tameh, and Rabbi Eliezer, the lone tzaddik, spoke his voice, and he said that this is wrong, this is just wrong, I'm going to stand up for what's right, and this is not tumah. And it became a big deal, even though it probably wasn't a big deal. Like, in other words, it probably had nothing to do with the oven. Like, who cares about the oven? But it became a much bigger issue. And the issue was, like, how do we paskin shilos in this world? Was man Talmud, this time of Rabbi Gamliel, this time of Rabbi Yeshua. How do we paskin shilos? And there were really, Rabbi Eliezer proceeded to do a whole bunch of miracles, as we know. Like, I can prove to you that I'm right about this. He did a whole bunch of miracles. They forgot about the oven. That's not the oven, wasn't the point. The point was, how do you paskin a shiloh? And he was paskening. He said, I'm right, and I could show you miracles. I could show you all kinds of things that are going to happen now. The walls of the Beis Medrash move the water. I defied gravity. He can do. I'm in control. And they, Amad Rabbi Yishmael, Araglav Amar Loy Mashomayim He. That's our principle. Lo Mashomayim He. And Hashem agreed, according to the Gemara. Hashem agreed, Lo Mashomayim He. So how did, says Rav Tzaddik, how did the great Rebbe Eliezer have the ability to perform miracles if it's Lo Mashomayim He? So that's exactly the point. In other words, he was bringing miracles from Shemayim, and Rav Tzaddik says, as I said last week, not the way I've learned the Gemara, but Rav Tzaddik learned the Gemara, who's not learning Gemara better than me, that, in other words, this doesn't mean you're right. What I mean by that is, I always thought that it meant that even if you're right, this is how to Rabbim paskin. But that's not what he says. He says, not even if you're right, you are wrong. In other words, the Rabbim paskin that you are incorrect about this. You're doing miracles, but that's all. All you've proven, like, as if to say, Chas v'Sholom, so Bilam was also doing miracles. It doesn't prove anything, and that's what comes out of that first part of the Gemara. The second part of the Gemara we're going to learn a little bit about today. Also, I want to remind you of how Rabbi Nachman understands that machshava, once again, that a person can actually, which is probably a more Jewish word, but I'm going to say it, actually manifest a certain reality through their machshava. We learned that, Rabbi Nachman, together. Today, so after the shiur, somebody showed me, I didn't get a chance to look at it yet. You said the book, The Secret. So, Hasoid HaGalui, which is a book by Ramat Bet Shemesh, who I know. It's all based in Reb Nachman and other Makaras on the secret of manifesting, the whole big book here. It's all sources. From Hasidic Rebbe's, the Gra, here, Rabbi Yisrael Meir HaKohen Miran, that's the Chaim. It's really an encyclopedia of manifestation. I don't know how he wrote this. He must have really wanted to. No, a lot of Rav Mutta Frank, a Breslover teacher, one of the Breslover Mashpiyim.
Is that Haran?
Maybe, like so many things that, and Nayin Tova, to go to the negative part, but there are so many things that, look, might be that's what tefillah is. It could be that's what bitachon is. Like it all has to do with, as the book is called, chayvos halavavos. So, duties of the heart is telling us, just the title itself is telling us that not only is there a dogma of religion, but there's something that there's a whole part that you do with your leyv. And there he has Shar, talks about Amunah, he talks about bitachon, he talks about tefillah, all, b'chol levavchem or b'chol nafshechem. It's all dvarim shibbolei. Okay, just want to, in Samech Hey, one more thing, because that's where we're going right now, is Rabbi Nachman explained the story of Rabbi Akiva, the most famous story of Rabbi Akiva, perhaps, of how he died. And he was killed by the Romans who wanted to get rid of him. It's really like unbelievable what Jews went through. His crime was teaching Torah. And so the Gemara says famously that Rabbi Akiva was, as he was being killed, imagine this in a minute, not too much because imagination is very powerful, but Rabbi Akiva was being killed by the executioners of the Roman Empire. They killed a lot of people, crucified a lot of people. I mean, really, actually, they did a lot of killing. And they saw Rabbi Akiva as a rebel and involved with Bar Kochba. And they were just trying to squash Judaism on every level, and they killed him. And he was saying, as you know, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. By the way, as far as I know, he's the one who thought of that idea. I don't like everybody knows that if you're going to get killed al Kiddush Hashem, you're supposed to say Shema. But I think that's from this story. I don't think that there's another source. Maybe Yaakov Avinu, but he wasn't being killed al Kiddush Hashem. So he was Meirich be'echad, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. And the Talmidim were urging him to go further. And I explained last week, by going further, perhaps, you can, Kabbalistically anyways, just to end this torture of the Romans, maybe even end the whole Roman Empire. And his answer was, which is what we're talking about here, that Kol Yamai needs to arti al pasuk zeh. What are you telling me to stop? My whole life needs to arti al pasuk zeh. Every time I came to this pasuk, and I reviewed the teaching that afilu noitulus nafshecha, which was his teaching and others. I was always thinking, now it's finally come to my hand. I'm not going to do it. Reb Nachman explains brilliantly. Like, look at the word. Kol yamai nitzta arti al pasuk zeh. So he says when he said he had sar on this pasuk, it doesn't mean he had sar that he wasn't able to do the mitzvah or it's hard to understand it properly. It's a funny word, nitzta arti. No, he had sar means that he actually felt the pain of being killed. He felt the fire. He felt the rocks. He felt the hanging. He felt the noose around his neck. He actually felt it. And nitzta arti. Pasuk zeh, I was mitzdayer from this. That's how Rabbi Nachman learns pshat. And he says further, Rabbi Akiva would say, I pulled myself out of it just in time. I didn't actually die, but I really died daily. Akshav shibaliyati lo hekabed adam, dying for real. So big deal. And Rabbi Nachman explains that, well, he didn't really want to die completely. He was able to die and willing to die, but he knew he had more Torah to teach, and it wasn't ito. So he wasn't holding by dying, but now he knew it was his time to die. 120 years old, I believe. It was time for him to die. So he said, just let me do the mitzvah that I'm doing. But the chap here is Not that I was willing to do it. I actually went through Arba Visas Based every single day. This is not a painful thing for me. This is not a problem for me. I went through this. I manifested dying. That's how Rabbi Nachman learns it. And I died. So every day he comes to Shamayim with thousands of cases of Mesiras Nefesh al Kiddush Hashem. Because that's what he thought, that's what he was thinking. So he was dying with his mind instead of actually dying with your breath and your heart. Which is fascinating. Let's go further. What seems like a new Indian, but it's not a new Indian at all. Person has to give yourself over to Hashem. Moshe Nefesh. What does it mean to be Moshe Nefesh? That if I'm living in a way that's not the way God intended me for me to live, so in that sense I'm violating the purpose of my creation. Violating the purpose of my creation. You were created to do something. You can't walk away from it. So, assuming you know what you're created for, so what I'm saying is, if I'm not doing Kirtzon Hashem Yisbarach, az muskam leilach min ha'olam, then take me out of this imlav, lama lichai. What do I need to live for if I'm not? It was very simple. We're all created a little differently, and we're all put in this world to accomplish a particular thing that nobody else can accomplish in the world. If you don't do it, it's just never going to be done. Gets us back to that Yedian Bechira thing. And I'm the first one in history that's able to do what I can do. But I don't want to do that. I want to do something else. We have a Yetzirah, and I want to do something else. I don't want to be bothered. So like Yonah, he's running away from his mission, right? Yonah's running away from his mission. He's going in the wrong direction completely. Yonah, Tzaddik, Navi, he wanted to do his mission. And Yonah made this point. He said these words. So kill me. I absolutely do not want to fulfill my mission in this world. I do not want to Eliyahu Navi. Very similar. It is very difficult to be a prophet, by the way. Not that I don't have personal experience. I'm just saying that when I imagine what it is to be Yirmiyahu or Yonah, I mean, and everybody is against you, but your mission is to speak truth and to teach people whether you want to or you don't want to. So what's Mesiras Nefesh? Mesiras Nefesh, that if I'm not going to do the Ratzon Hashem, I have to understand that I have no reason to be in this world. Nikudah. Somebody becomes a Baal Tshuva, it's not because, there's a philosophical truth here. Do you believe in God? Do you not believe in God? Okay, obviously. But the real thing is that, if you don't do this, you're not fulfilling your purpose in this world. That's the real point. Think about what you're created for. That's not just a Balei Tshuva like in H someplace. I'm talking about all of us on Yom Kippur. It's really has to be a review, I think, Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, of Machai Vasei Be'Lamai. What am I here for? If not, Lama Lichayim. So as muskam leilchan darshan amar Tehillim Kuf Lametes says Urei derech oitzav bi. David HaMelech said, if I'm not doing the right thing in this world, if my lifestyle is wrong, u'necheni baderech haylam. Avek ukinyan ze amar Yoina. There you go. Tov moisi michayai. Tov moisi michayai. For me, it's better to be dead than to be alive, because as I cannot. He just felt he cannot fulfill his task, his mandate, and his purpose that God appointed him with.
Although this was said after he'd already done his nevuah.
It was again because there was another thing they was asked to do. So
he was sitting there under the Kikayon, and now he's in the sun, and it seems like
reflecting.
Yeah.
I know.
What's oitzav?
That's why he says, what? It means if I'm going bad. Otsav means bad. That's like if I'm doing the wrong thing. Now, here's the thing that I really want to cover in the next few minutes. And this will be so important for our davening here. This is why we say Tachnun all together. The Omru, just how you think about as I'm a rabbi for many years, there is no stronger way to be Mesameach the Tzibur than to say, no Tachnun. Oh my gosh, you watch people. It's like you took off of them like this 2,000-pound weight. Tachnun takes something under a minute.
Monday and Thursday.
Okay, Monday and Thursday, really bad one. I just like.
The simple one gets from that saying Tachnun is
When there's some reason not to say Tachnun, there's a chassan here, a bris, I can't tell you how many people come over to me and tell me, like chas v'sholom, we accidentally say Tachnun. But it's very interesting that seems to be like universal in Klal Yisrael. We do not like saying Tachnun. It's then we say slichas. Like we say so many things. We just don't want to say Tachnun. So why do we have this like?
I think if it was a hit not to say Tzidkas Hatzadik as well, then they'd probably take it.
You think? I just to speak for myself, and I'm not like any. I love saying Tachnun. I love saying Tachnun, and I love saying Tzidkas Hatzadik. As a matter of fact, I don't like I get up quite early and I say Tzidkas Hatzadik even before I come because I just like saying Tzidkas Hatzadik so much. I just and there's some of the madregas and the words. It's just so much to so beautiful. But what is so Zaydin Nefilas Apayim? That's my introduction to Tachnun. Nefilas Apayim. Now Tachnun is not called Tachnun. We call it Tachnun. It should really be called Nefilas Apayim. That's what it says in the Siddur, and that's what it says in the Gemara, and that's what it says everywhere. Nefilas Apayim. So you fall on your face. Acher kol tefillah. When he says acher kol tefillah, he's not. It's not real because, of course, only after Shachris and Mincha. The Amru. The Hasidim are even more. They look for reasons not to say Tachnun. It's a yard site. This one. It's a Friday.
Somebody died today.
Or they did. Either way. Amru b'Zayar Reish Kairach. So comes the Zohar in the beginning of Parshas Korach. Zohar. Ki nefilas hapayim hu mesira atzmai lamisa. I get this so we can understand a little bit of negativity to it. When you say Tachnun, what it really means, says the Zohar, is you say Tachnun and you're saying, okay, I'm going to die now. If you look at the Zohar inside, it's not that I'm willing to die. You say Tachnun, you're dead. In other words, this is, you have done like Rabbi Kiva did. We do it in Tachnun. When you fall Tachnun, you are falling into death, and then you say, like Hashem, Suru mimani kol pa le'oven. Just imagine. Well, I found like an old Litvak Bal Musar, but this is what it says. That Suru mimani kol pa le'oven. All those angels that are out to get me, please hold them back from me. Don't give me any Yisur umlaloni. All of those psukim there. I can't give you hoida ein b'mavas ichrecha. B'sholom yoidalach. Don't send me to hell because what am I going to do there? Which is interesting. You can't give hoida once you're out of this world. You can't do it. So the Zohar says that what you're actually, the exercise, the spiritual exercise, the meditation, if you will, of Tachnun is, how does it feel to be dead? You go to a funeral and you watch, the burial process, and you say to yourself when you get older, like me, Like, wow, I wonder how that feels. And, just death is a way of life. But whatever is accomplished with death, and we have to really strive to stay alive and stay healthy and fulfill our mission in this world. But we can do this kind of like sort of mini death during Tachnun. So that's what the Zohar says. Nefilas hapayim b'zoyar reish kairach ki nefilas hapayim hu mesira atzmai lemisa. I resign to death. V'gam b'pashat. This was an interesting sentence. V'gam b'pashat yirmos l'zeh. And it seems like that's the pashat of Pshat too. I think that's what that means. V'gam b'pashat yirmos l'zeh. If you read the words, you will see that that's what it is, even without the Zohar. Yeah. There's all vidui. So, it's very important, by the way, not only the kavanah of our davening, but you could understand that maybe intuitively we know this, and that's why you give a clap and say no tachnun. Everyone gets very excited. I don't have to die now.
This is the sort of linsor nafshel Hashem islah.
Lamisa.
No, but I'm saying, but what did he do wrong? Like, why is it in Baratson? Like, every day we do something
that we should die for?
After Shemesh.
Oh, very good. So that's what we need to explain, right? So why do we die after Shemoneh Esrei? What's the thing? So I want to show you a couple of things. And number one, the whole in the field. Let's go 2 lines further. Moshe va'Aaron. Where do we know this whole concept of falling? It's not just Tachnun, but the Kohen Gadol and Asan Yom Kippur, Kairim Mishtachvim, Neiflim al Pneihem. Pretty serious, and that might have been what Tachnun was originally, because we learned like we do on Yom Kippur, not Pishat Yadayim Raglayim, but going all the way down to the floor. Moshe v'Aaron naflu al pneihem shtei pamim sham. If you look in Parshas Korach, so we see that Moshe and Aaron said Tachanun twice. So let's do that. Let's look in Parshas Korach, and I want to show you something. Parshas Korach. The whole story of Korach, we all know. Vayidaber Hashem el Moshe vel Aaron lemar. This is in the height of the machlokas. They already took their fire pans and all. Vayidaber Hashem el Moshe vel Aaron lemar. Message from God. He badlu mitoich ha'eda. Separate yourself right now from the Eda. V'achala oisam karaga. I am now going to destroy all these people. Okay. Vayiplo apneim. What was the reaction? Vayiplo apneim. They, the Tachnun, they both fell on their faces. Who fell on their face before this in the Chumash? We're just talking about it. Yaakov before Esav. Ishtachavu. But by Yaakov and Esav, he actually Shava Pamim Urtza. So it wasn't a new idea, it wasn't a new gesture, but it was kind of out of context. Tachnun here. Let's say Tachnun. Vayiplu al pneim. Vayomru, and they said, interesting here, they're winning the fight. They spoke on the defense of the people. El Elehei Aruchai S'lchol Basar, Isha Echad Yechtev Al Kol Eida Tiksayf. You're going to kill everybody now, Your Elehei Aruchais means every one of them is a different individual, and every one of them is a different motive. And you had there a lot of Talmidei Chachamim, Gedolim, Nesiim, Korach himself, Shepikei Rosh Sanhedrios. You had some serious people there. You can, I'm not saying you should just kill them, but what was it? What was his Moshe and Aaron? What did they do? Vayiplu al pneim. They fell down. This is the first Tachanun that existed. So say Chazal. Let me show you something. Vayiplu al pneim. I'm reading now from the Rabbeinu B'chaya. Rabbeinu B'chaya says, it's in this beautiful art scroll. Rabbeinu B'chaya says, Vayiplu al pneim. Why? Lihispalel. They want to daven. In other words, let's take a prayer break. Umikan, and from here, l'nefilas hapayim b'tefillah. From here, we learn that you just have to say Tachnun when you daven. V'da, and I'm going to have to skip a bunch here, and I want to teach this, and I want you to go through it if you can. V'da says, know this: ki inyan nefilas hapayim b'tefillah. When we say Tachnun tefillah, yesh by shalosh kavanis. There are three things to think about here. Achas. Why do we fall? Specifically, not the words we say, but specifically that we hide our face. First of all, achas l'mayra hashchina. We are awed by the Shechina. By this moment, we're awed at the Shechina. So I get, we could be awed by Shechina at Oleinu or Shemon Esrei. But if you understand that, as you say, davening, Sukkot Zimra, Kriya Shema, Shemon Esrei, Kedusha, you've gotten to the highest level of Shechina. That's the biggest hispashtus which is possible of the guf. So, like those Hasidim Rishonim, it took them hours to get to this place of Shemon Esrei. And by the time they were there, so yes, there is, you're looking at the Shechina, so you cover your face out of kavod and awe. That's part one. Shenis, each one of these he's marich, and that's what I don't think we'll have time to do, but I just want to show you three things for everybody to think about tomorrow morning, this afternoon. Hashenis, laharois tsar v'hachna. One of them is kavod Shechina, but the second thing is to show tsar laharois. Tsar, pain, v'hachna, and submission. Two different things, yeah? So tsar, I'm feeling tsar. I just finished Shemon Esrei. I'm feeling tsar, and I'm feeling submission. That's all one thing. And the third thing, ashlishis, laharois asiras chushav. You'd show when you say Tachnun, asiras chushav ubitul hargashoisav. I'll give you another chance. Asiras chushav. What does that mean? What does that mean? I mean, I don't smell. I don't. Asir. So he explains later. That's what it means. In other words, asiras chushav means I see with my eyes. Cover your eyes. I smell with my nose. Cover. That's why you have to. It's very important to cover your own. I very often quote Rav Scheinberg. So there's like two places where you can tell if somebody's an Amoritz. One is if they say Tachnun like this, standing up, that's really bad. But you say Tachnun, Scheinberg brings from here to here, and your face is closed. And the other one, you could see in Amoritz, he said it was is by Havdalah, when you see they put out the candle and everyone's like, it's a very simple move. It's your right hand, thumb hidden like this, looking at your nails. That's what you do when you say So that Tachnun now, think of him with wearing 300 pairs of tzitzis. So this was a very complicated. I don't know where his arm was in this picture, but he did it. He was this is the Tachnun to do it right. So what am I doing there? It's a complete cover up, and I just want to be, if we're allowed to be medayik here. Two things that are going on here. Asiras, two things which are one. Asiras chushav. I'm disabling my ability to feel. Yeah, I'm disabling my ability to feel. Ubitul hargashoisav, which adds what?
Nullification of the
So two different things. One is your senses. Asiras chushav is your senses. And the second is bittul hargashosav and my whole emotional makeup. So I am putting that all down. So those are three things that we think about. Achas, the first one has to do with the Shechina, and we should have Boshes and Snius. I'm just going to go quickly here. When you cover your face, that's a form of humility, covering your face. Shenis. What?
Would it make sense to do it before the Hamikah? To do something to show that you're not there. Moshe was his part before the encounter.
You're right here even. He bowed down to daven. But you can't fake it. In other words, you're not holding by that level of davening until you've gotten to standing before the Shechina. Otherwise, you just... the second one, Laharis, I'm just going, Laharis Tarvach Nova Kukian Neufel Alpanav Mitztayer V'Nichna V'Achna Meikreat Tshuva. And the third thing is Hasiras Chushav V'Bitul Hargashoisav. That was the third thing that we said. Kian Neufel Alpanav, because when you fall on your face, Mechasa Eina V'Soisem Piv, you cover up your senses. Most of your senses are in your face and maybe in your hand, and you're just actually being mavatal your senses. So, what do you call all this? I no longer feel misa. That's the misa. So, and he says it. He says it straight out. Basically, what you're doing is you just become the walking dead or the falling dead or resigned to death or experiencing death or however you want to say. This is every time you make Tachnun. And that's really the final sort of, like we sit, we stand, we jump up and down, we do all kinds of things when we're davening. And then finally we say Tachnun, and then we say V'anachnu lo neda ma nasa. What else are we supposed to do?
Why does it depend on being in a place where there's a sacred Torah?
I don't know. Again, because same way you have to say Shemona Esrei, you have to be before the Shechina. Not such a pashut halach anyway. Like in your Shulaim, you say even without a sacred Torah. Like, I know.
Many people say it's maybe all over.
Some people say all over Eretz Yisrael.
They also, Chetim Radman, they felt.
The what?
Chetim Radman, they also felt.
That's right.
So why those moments?
I want to refer you to this because I really want to learn it all together. That's what we should do. But I'm just going to refer you to the three reasons. Say Tachnun, Siddur HaShlo, which, by the way, is my favorite thing to learn. My Siddur HaShlo is very well worn, and it's just such a beautiful. It was published by Abat Shalom. They published a lot of Svarim, Rabbi Yaacov Haber, and they actually gave me this set, and I treasured it. But it's all, I'm through this, and not that I understand it all. But he talks here about Tachnun and the Kehillas Shivtei Yeshurun. And so one of the things we need to understand is the whole idea of bowing down in general. Like, what is that? So what is it to bow down? Baruch Hu Hashem Baruch Modim Anachnu Lach. What is it, like? We are big bowers, yes. And the idea of bowing down is that we take our head, which is the top of our body, right, the head of our body, Rosh, and we don't put it down for anything or anybody. Our head belongs on top of our body. Our mind should be in control. And if you lower your head to Avodah Zarah, you're in big trouble. You violated the whole Torah. That's what Yafer means. Like, I have violated the whole purpose of my life right now. That's why you should kill yourself. Or one of the reasons. But so here I am. when we thank somebody, Modem Anachnu Lecha, we do give it a little bit of a bow. I guess that's okay. I don't know. But it's not, we don't bow down to anything or anybody except for Hashem. And the reason for that is because not just your head's supposed to stay on top. According to Kabbalah, even when you sleep, you're not allowed to sleep without a pillow. Your head has to be raised over your body. The reason for that is that because when you're bowing down, what you're doing is saying, I'm nothing and you're everything. Everything that the Rabbeinu Bechaya just said. Oh, by the way, he says here, just before I leave this, he says here in the third thing, this whole idea of diminishing or abandoning or all my senses. You find by the Kehillas Hatzadik, Yaakov Avinu, that when they're ready to die, they put their feet on the bed. Yes, what's the pasuk? Yes, Sofet Raglav. By the way, also in like Chaver Kadisha, like first thing you do, everybody been on the Chaver Kadisha? First thing you do in the Chaver Kadisha is you put somebody's feet straight on the bed, make sure there's no part of the feet hanging out. But what is this thing with the feet? So this is it's a very fascinating thing. He says the reason you put your feet on the bed, you can do this yourself if that's what you're holding, is to be able to show that I am no longer walking. I'm no longer making, like walking represents the decision I make to go in this direction or that direction. So walking in that sense represents Bechira Chafshis. So I'm no longer walking. My feet are on the bed. I'm done. Retired. And he says here, as the pasuk says in Yirmiyahu, Adam Darka, it's symbolism of putting your feet on the bed, and this just helps us explain a lot of things in Tanakh. The symbolism of putting your feet on the bed is that I'm no longer in control. It's complete bittul to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He says here, this is fun. He says, Ha'umais, that a goyim, marima kavana, they also hold of this kavana, complete subjugation. What a word? Complete subjugation to God. But they do it b'kivun hayadayim, b'vakashas tachanunim. This is total, by the way, total Christianity, and you should stop using it as a thank you emoji. Don't do it. I'll be telling, like, Look it up. Complete Avodah Zarah. This is the way to going back. Complete Chukas Hakum. And with them, by the way, what that actually means, like, or the Christians, almost the whole Christians, but also the Buddhists and the Hindus. So it's always like this. So it's all this kind of subjugation to thank you. Somebody told me that in Japan, when you fill up with gas, so the fellow meets you in front of the car and he bows down to you before filling up your gas. I want to go to Japan just for this. This is like a fantastic thing. That's the thing. This is kind of like kavod, for like customer service. I like it. So he says here, the goyim put their hands together. Behem atzman, listen to this. Behem atzman einon yoidim lama hurgulu b'kach. They have no idea why they're doing that, he says. But let me tell you, ulaharais bittul koyach atzmai. What the reason why you're doing that, goyim, is to show a bittul koyach atzmai ki'ilu yadav asuris, or as we say in English, my hands are tied. So that is the symbolism. This is Rabbeinu Bechaya telling the goyim what their symbolism is. Have some kavanah. V'hu meiser oisai. By doing so, he is giving himself over l'misha mischanan elav. Jews. You know, my hands are tied is one thing, but my feet are tied, that's even more. That's even more. So that's why by Shemona Esrei, we put our feet together, we don't put our hands together. Wow. B'Shem Rabbeinu Haygoin Zal, Roy Ladam Lipol Al Panav B'Tzad Small, always bow down go down to the left. So he's talking about Tachnun, remember. He's talking about Tachnun, and your feet are together, and there's a complete bittul. Now, you can't say Tachnun and fall at the same time. I say you can't keep your feet together. I don't stand and sit and do all these kind of things. But these are all different. What he's saying is these are all different snuot and symbolic gestures of being completely batal to HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Starting with the Hakohen.
We need to research what the Magen Avraham and Mishnah Berurah brings, and it says in every siddur. So you say "V'anachnu loy neida," as I explained. We don't know what we've done. We've done everything, and then yamoid b'ma. It says in the siddur. You should stand up when you say ma nasa. That's a tough one. Anachnu loy neida ma nasa. That's when you should be standing there, and then you stay standing. At the end of Anachnu loy neida, there's a symbolism in the positioning of that also. But V'anachnu, I believe the whole thing you should stay standing. But part of our submission is the first three words of V'anachnu loy neida. That's the pshat. Like we are out of das. Now you can stand up. Meaning, it's not like you're supposed to stand up for manas. It's just that you have to remain seating. That's what the Magen Avraham quotes from somebody. That you have to remain seating for the. We're going to have to do more about this because it's important. But I just want to, in the shla, I want to take you to the very last thing that he says. This I want to learn a lot of this. Really do about Tachnun and. But he says, here's a word here. I'll end with this. When you say Tachnun, he says, Mapilanas atzmenu, we're actually falling me'atzilus ad ha'asiyah. So atzilus is when you're davening Shmonas, right? Standing in front of Hashem, itzel. Yotzel mean ad ha'asiyah, until this world. Ka'adam shenoifel mirosh hagag ad ha'karka. Like a person that fell off the roof and hit the ground. So that's what Tachnun is. You fell off the roof. Ka'adam shenoifel mirosh hagag ad hakarka.
The one who feels applying is lying down.
Yeah, I said that.
Says that we don't do it.
We don't do it that way, but that's what you're supposed to do. Yeah, but you still, even if you lay down, you still have to cover your face. Also, Yom Kippur, by the way, when you fall down, like everyone's busy with the paper towels under their knees, the place, it's your face that has to be covered, because otherwise it's a shiloh of like bowing down. It has nothing to do with your knees. I don't know, everyone thinks just you don't want to get dust on your pants, or they're giving out things and stuff like that, but it's a very important part of whether it applies on this carpet or here. That's okay, halachic things, but that's the idea. The idea is to cover your face. That's the point. But this is like, to sum it up, and then next Thursday I will be in America. We should do it online. But to sum up what we learned today is that Moshe Rabbeinu was doing Tachnun. Vayipal upon the source of all Tachnuns was done by Moshe Rabbeinu, standing in front of the Adas Korach, completely humbling himself to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and in fact, dying and being willing to die at that moment to fulfill, as Reb Tzadok is going to teach us, to fulfill his purpose in this world. I'm not here to kill people. I'm not here to open the earth or to do miracles. I'm here to help people and bring the Ruach Hashem into this world. Hashem, like, please work this out. But his symbolism, as Reb Tzadok says, his symbolism of an Aaron of falling on the floor and a sort of this kind of a death that he was doing was to say that this was not what I was created for. So take me away now. Take my life now. If you're not going to let me do what I was created for. And from there we learn all of Tachnun, including Hilchos Tachnun, all from this one. There are two places where it says that Moshe Rabbeinu was V'yipol al panav. Okay, by the time I come back, you'll all be dying to hear me.
He was showing that to Hashem. That's saying, if this is going on, I shouldn't be here.
Lihispalel ifnei Hashem. It's his form of tefillah, but he chose the form of tefillah, not trying to act like a malach.
His last point is, I showing Hashem, if this is going on, then
I should not be alive. There's no reason.
as a way of
That's the first thing that he says here. First thing he says here, Rabbeinu B'chayim, Naflu Apneim, Lihispalel. Very important.
So, some back of my head is a chazal where there was somebody, I think it was Rabbi Yaacov, maybe, that they didn't want him to say Tachnun.
We're gonna get. That's where we didn't get to. Rabbi Eliezer's Tachnun.
They didn't desperately give him reasons not to say it. So I'm like, okay. Good.
No. Thank you.
If they're offered.
In the Hakdama of what you were saying, is it fair to say, I previously thought what it means is with Hitler, with Paro, with all these, somehow,
They have what?
yeah, with all the examples, the person's ratzon, Hashem gets behind them. And it sounded like the way, more like Kodesh Baruch Hu gets out of the way. In other words, there's a koach of ratzon that
No, it doesn't say that. It says malichin also. He guides them.
Right, so it's malichin. So which is it? Is it
So that's why the Marsha said, we said last week, that it means malachim are malichin. Hashem is not getting involved with you doing the wrong thing.
In other words, Kodesh Baruch Hu put this into the world, into the
You
Bria.
made a malach, and go with it.
Mm-hmm. It's not that Kodesh Baruch Hu himself is getting behind it.
If a person is like, I want to kill somebody, you've just created a malach that's going to help you kill that person. Mm-hmm. If you're a terrorist, the malachim helping you. Mm-hmm. Wild to think about, but that is the way it is. Just because the only answer is to create a lot of good ones. A lot of good malach.
That's what Rasher Wade used to say. What Hitler showed us was if someone can go that far on the dial that way, so we can go.
That's right.
Yeah.
So it's the bottom line that Moshe Rabbeinu, as he falls, he gets into a place of Ratzon, and therefore he has the ability to do the kind of miracle which opens
As
the earth.
he falls, he can do anything he wants. So
Yehei Rav.
yeah, I think that the minute one falls, literally or figuratively, Kehillas Hatzadik, you can perform any miracle you want. And if your kavanah is latov, and if you're doing a good thing, so you have good malachim going with you. But the einoid milvadai makes complete space. What does it mean? At the end, it means einoid milvadai. I know that the Arizal says, he brings the Shula brings those, that if you have the right kavanah when you say Baruch Hashem Baruch Hashem Baruch you bow down. So you have completely already before Tachnun, you've completely humbled yourself before Hashem. Stated einoid milvadai, and whatever you need that day is set, taken care of. Once you get involved with it, that the problems begin. But yeah, yeah, exactly.
Added Sushtel, so the beginning in Sota, Moshe Rabbeinu was put into the Nilus as a way to be Makayim the decree. And there's parish on the Gemara Megillah of Kam Rabbi L'Shavtei L'Zera, that was the kiyum of the Melech saying the Jews had an Afila. So he had an Afila, Rabbi Zera is doing an Afila in order to be Makayim, so to speak.
We'll learn next week that the Gemara says, right, the continuation of the Tana Shalach Noi is they wouldn't let Rabbi Eliezer, the wife wouldn't let her, Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Gamliel were brother-in-laws. So wife was worried that Rabbi Eliezer was so hurt by this story in the Cherem that he's gonna be makbid on Rabbi Gamliel, Tzadok being makbid on Rabbi Gamliel, Tzadok and Cherem. So she wouldn't let him say Tachnun. I'm just always trying to think about how that looks, but like she would let him say Tachnun, and then one day she made a mistake. She thought it was Rosh Chodesh. It wasn't Rosh Chodesh, and he said Tachnun, and then she heard the town crier saying Rabbi Gamliel died. So here, good wife, Rebbetzin Eliezer, she turns to her husband, "You just killed my brother." So it's the power of Vayiplu al Pneim.
Something that he was not good, or
Supposed to kill himself with Tachnun.
Once you kill yourself, any rutzon you have is Makayim, because you're making room for anything Mubad. The Rabbeinu B'chaya explains it that if you put the second shot is when you put yourself in this kind of a tsar, so in your tzaddik, so Hashem doesn't want you to be b'tzar, so He does whatever has to be done to get you out of tsar. So by putting yourself in tsar, this is the idea of going to a tzaddik for a bracha or whatever. He shares in your burden, and then Hashem will help him even if He won't help me.